Like and subscribe now, or you're gonna have bad luck this week.
Have you ever been through something unfortunate in your life, but then afterward were rewarded as the unfortunate circumstance became a blessing in disguise? That is exactly what happened to these people. They got amazing superpowers after going through some sort of accident. From getting new and powerful mental abilities to feats of incredible strength, join us as we show you 10 people who got superpowers after suffering an unfortunate accident. Number 10. Antonio Alfonseca. Does being born with extra digits on your hands and feet count as an accident? We mean, it is technically a genetic accident. This condition, known as polydactylism, is only reported in about 1 of every 500 children. Upon studying this condition, we discovered the results are incredible. 1 in every 500 children are born with an extra toe, an extra finger, or some other extra extremity. In the case of Antonio Alfonseca, he has an extra toe on each foot and an extra finger on each hand, and he also happens to be a baseball superstar. While Antonio claims that his extra fingers don't actually affect his pitching, who really knows what's going on there? Antonio's friends call him El Pulpo, or the octopus, and he is also known as Six Fingers. In addition, he is the only person with this kind of genetic deformity who has turned it into a brand. Antonio has also played for the Chicago Cubs, the Atlanta Braves, the Texas Rangers, and many others. Number 9. Alonzo Clemens. Whether Alonzo Clemens developed his talent as a sculptor because of the brain injury he sustained as a child, or he simply inherited it, well, that is yet to be scientifically proven. But that doesn't stop Alonzo from landing on this list. After suffering a horrible brain injury as a young boy, he was left with an IQ of somewhere around 45, in addition to severe developmental issues. But still, he is one of the most talented sculptors in the world. In fact, Alonzo had his premiere exhibit in Aspen, Colorado in 1986, and ever since then, his works have sold upwards of $40,000 US. Pretty good for a guy who got bonked on his head as a child. Alonzo can typically sculpt a ridiculously lifelike statue of an animal within minutes, anything from an antelope to a horse. His hands are so skilled that they can produce any image seen by his eyes within minutes. This is one of those superpowers that often go unnoticed, but luckily, Alonzo has made his life from his sculpting skill. Number 8. Orlando Serrell. When Orlando Serrell was 10 years old, he was just an ordinary boy who loved to play. But one day in 1979, he was playing baseball with his friends when he was hit in the head with a baseball. Serrell was knocked out, but when he gained consciousness, he seemed to be fine. However, a few days later, he started to get severe headaches which got more intense and frequent with passing time. Serrell tried to mask his pain from his parents and did not seek any medical attention for his condition. One day, he realized that the headaches had stopped, but surprisingly, that's not the end of the story. Serrell realized that he had a lot of new memories. He could remember even the tiniest details from every single day in the past with clear accuracy, even the weather, ever since he got hit in the head with the baseball. He was also able to do calendric calculations. No one knows what caused this to happen, but what an amazing superpower we must say. Number 7. Franco Magnani. In the 1960s, Franco Magnani was an Italian immigrant and he came to San Francisco in the United States to try and live a new life. There was just one problem though. Almost as soon as he arrived in the city, he became deathly sick. No one is sure with what exactly, but he is documented with having a fever that was so bad it made him delirious. He also had seizures. As he recovered from his mysterious illness, Franco started to have vivid dreams and memories about his childhood home. He said that he hadn't been there for over 30 years, which means that the memories shouldn't have been so fresh and vivid. To get rid of the memories, he decided to paint them. And let us tell you at this point that he was a cook and a woodworker and had really never painted before. Yet, his paintings were so detailed and accurate that when someone actually went to Italy and took pictures of the depicted places, the illustrations appear to be perfect recreations. Franco had no references other than his memory. Later, he came to be known as the memory artist. Number 6. Jason Paget. Much like in comic books, there are many ways to gain a superpower in real life. But there is only one documented case in history where that superpower came after getting beaten up, in this case via a mugging. In 2002, Jason Paget was having the time of his life. He had just come off a date and was leaving to go home when all of a sudden, 2 men jumped on him, beat him up, stole his money, and then ran off. The doctor said he only had a minor concussion, but soon afterward he started to see things he couldn't explain. For example, when he used to go out, he would see light hitting cars and leaving objects like triangles floating in the air. This sense continued to grow, which made Jason go insane. However, even being reviewed by doctors didn't help. After 3 years, he started drawing what he saw, and that's when his superpower was discovered. What he was drawing were not normal shapes. They were fractals, which are complex mathematical formulas that are said to make up the world in a math set. Number 5. Jim Carollo. In 1988, a 14-year-old boy named Jim Carollo was in a car accident, and while he barely survived, his mother did not. Jim fell into a coma for 6 weeks, with doctors wondering if he was going to make it or not. Surprisingly, he woke up one day suddenly and shocked everyone. He had to go through physical therapy to resume his life. After his treatments, he came out as a new person. While his pre-coma personality was barely interested in math, his post-coma personality was an expert in the subject. He was even able to do things like advanced calculus, which was a big thing for anyone his age. The only negative side, however, was that he faced some short-term memory issues after the accident. Number 4. Tony Chicoria. In DC Comics, the character known as Barry Allen was struck by lightning that transformed him into the fastest man alive. But Tony Chicoria had a slightly different reaction when he got hit by a bolt from the blue. During a thunderstorm, he decided to pull over and call his mother via a payphone. Just as he finished the conversation, a lightning bolt struck the phone and electrocuted Chicoria. Now, in most cases, it would have led to death instantly, but Chicoria survived, and after recovering, he had an enormous urge to listen and play piano, something he had never done before. Eventually, he wrote his own piece called The Lightning Sonata, which has been performed all over the US and been featured on TV shows and documentaries. Number 3. Derek Amato. When it comes to stories of superpowers in real life, you could argue that Derek Amato has one of the dumbest. Back in 2006, he was at a friend's party in Denver, Colorado, where he decided to dive headfirst into their pool. That would have been fine if the pool was deep, yet it wasn't, and so he bashed his head on the bottom of said pool. This knocked him out. He woke up in the hospital with a diagnosis of a severe concussion and was told by the doctors that he'd experienced memory loss, headaches, and partial hearing loss. To his amazement, he realized that he had started to see moving things when he closed his eyes. At first, he ignored them, thinking that they were just light effects, but later realized that they were musical notes and movements. His musical notes gift has allowed him to play different instruments, including the piano, for years, all without having to study sheet music. Number 2. Ken Walters. Ken Walters' journey to getting powers began with some of the worst luck a person could ever have in their lives. It started with an accident that left him crippled, as his back was broken and he wouldn't be able to walk again. For the next year, he lived with incredible pain because of that accident. To add to this miserable situation, he was kicked out of his house by the government too, and was fined for various things. All this stress caused him to have 2 heart attacks, and then in 2005, he had a major stroke. He survived, but couldn't talk in the hospital, so he wrote to the nurse, asking for some aid. As soon as he stopped writing, he started to draw on the paper. Walter had never been an artist and had never drawn anything in his life. But yet here he was, drawing something subconsciously. His doctor said that his stroke probably rewired his brain to prevent damage, which led him to have such a superpower. Walter then went on with his newfound talent and started graphic designing, which made him super famous. Number 1. Tommy McHugh. Tommy McHugh had lived most of his life in a very violent, dangerous way. He would get into fights at bars, take an assortment of drugs recreationally, and he was also known to be a jerk. Then, he went to the hospital one day to deal with severe headaches, where he found out that he had 2 aneurysms in his head, and both had ruptured. McHugh underwent immediate surgery, which left him with some odd side effects. At first, for a few months, he could only speak in rhyme. Then, random images would flash through his mind, like a slideshow, as he would describe it. When he got fed up with the images, he started painting them, but it later became an obsession. However, he became a maniac, furiously getting the images out by either drawing, painting, writing, or even sculpting. Subsequently, his works were displayed in art galleries, and he soon started earning money from them. Interestingly, he also became a much nicer person. Which one of the superpowers would you want to have? Tell us in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe to our channel to receive notifications about new videos.